Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chris Haskell. I'm here with Beth York and Frank Garcia, Zone D of the CVR World Cup League. This is week number 7, and oh my gosh, we're going to see some fabulous things today. Closer and closer to the knowledge of who's going to be traveling to CVR World Cup, the big event in, of course, no other cool place but Vancouver, British Columbia. We are here today for this amazing event. I'm so glad to be joined by Beth. As always, my favorite person on the desk. Sorry, Frank. You're up there, but it's her. And here's what we're doing today. Watopia Hilly. This is the big event. We're going to do 4 laps of this monstrosity. This is the original course, the one that we all know so well. Watopia Hilly starts with the wall. Fast, out of the gate. We blow this thing up. Then it gets a little bit easier as long as people aren't animating the race, but they most certainly will be. 4 full laps of Watopia all the way down and under that banner. This is going to be an epic fight in these different categories. This is the chance for many of these riders to get away in the standings. Here in Zone D, we have 2 people racing for this top spot right now, which includes this man right here, Ryan Christensen. But who is chasing Ryan Christensen? You won't believe it. Yes, it's Ryan Christensen. He chases himself. He's the only man who can beat himself, yet he's unbeatable. I'm kidding. There are quite a few folks, including Joachim Plommers in here. Lucy Collins. I know this girl. She and I were teammates in real life. She is killing it in the virtual world. She also kills it in the real world. And, of course, Ina Ketzer. She is from the other side of the world, Germany most specifically, doing an amazing job. Now, here's the way things are shaping up in Zone D for the men, and we're going to drop right into the race after this. Ryan Christensen, Joachim Plommers, and Lionel Vajusin up there at the top. The other category is very visible here, but we're not going to waste any time looking at these numbers. We'll bring them up a little bit later. Let's take a look at what's going on course here. This is the start of the men's race. Kaboom! Off the front. Vajusin, of course, off the front. I believe that's pronounced Vajusin. But I'll require Beth to, she's the cultured one to give us that. Beth, how are things going on your side of the world as this thing takes off and we look at our guy Plommers there on the course? All right, as we kick this thing off, we've got Team Experimental really pushing the pace at the front. Several. Marina up there also. Igor Kopsy, although he is not a member of Team Experimental, tends to race with these folks all the time. Lots of different, just straight, fabulous riders in here. Christensen, a really well-known rider from Australia. As we were, kind of researching him a little bit more this week, he's a pretty popular guy. A lot of folks like him. And that's why you're watching this amazing race right here. This is week 7 of CVR World Cup. If you're joining us for the first time, you've just stumbled on this, your Facebook feed lit up and, wait, my friend is watching what? And now you're glued in? I'm sorry to say this is a
week. He's a pretty popular guy. A lot of folks like him. And that's why you're watching this amazing race right here. This is week 7 of CVR World Cup. If you're joining us for the first time, you've just stumbled on this, your Facebook feed lit up.
All right, we're going to keep talking right here, even though we hear ourselves just a little bit. Hey, that's that I must have pressed the wrong button. I apologize to everybody. But and here is what if you're just watching this black hole of awesome here, here's what is going to happen. You're going to find that you cannot pull yourself away. You may need to do things. You may need to give blood or feed your children. But I'm afraid for the next hour you're not going to be doing that, because this race, if you miss a second of it, you're going to go crazy. You're going to wish that you hadn't fed your children. Well, maybe that's not true. Okay, I apologize. The emails are already starting to come in. That's not what we want. Joachim Plommers is the guy we're watching very closely here. Ryan Christensen, his main competitor, just a few spots up. This is the wall. kaboom, we hit it. It gets a little bit crazy right at the very front. This is when the weight of your rider makes a difference against the power that you put out. Plummer's in that pink jersey that we know so well. Norm Hughes, the KRT rider, also in there. Igor Kopse, just pushing it at the front. Ryan Christensen right where he needs to be. Not sure who the Wolf rider is. He is a guy that we've seen a little bit before, but he's pushing it at the front right now. This is where the excitement really comes down. The Cervelo bike for Joachim Plummer's, showing why he has been racing for so long. And I believe we see those really, really special wheels only unlocked when you make a certain number of really fast journeys. But Ryan Christensen, a big attack off the front. This is getting exciting. So we'll pull away. We'll go to the women's race right now. They are also getting exciting. Ina Ketzer right there where she needs to be. That is the German flag. Lucy Collins from Team Draft. That is her new virtual team. And from the R2 back to the men's race here for just a second. Ryan Christensen really getting a gap, or this huge attack once they came around the corner. He's got to find some men right now to do some work. Now, this is early, and these are fast dudes, so he's probably going to be able to catch on. There isn't a huge group up there, but he definitely is going to get some assistance from his teammate right there, and Norm Hughes, who's on his wheel. They're going to have to work together to catch that main group. But that was a cagey early move by Ryan Christensen, trying to create a gap up the front of the race there. And Beth, when you are excited, jump in. I do not want to Frank makes fun of me every time, I'll say, yeah, we'll hear from Frank in just a second, and then I'll just talk right over the top of it. There's our friend Beth right there. What's going on, my friend? Okay, you know what? I must have said something wrong, and she's now giving me the silent treatment. I don't know what it was, Beth. I apologize. I didn't mean it. It may have been the comment about your mother. I was complimenting your thighs because you're such a strong rider. That was not any kind of big joke or fat joke. I want to apologize in advance for that. Also, I think I may have insulted your ancestry. I said athletic. Ancestors. Maybe it came across as apathetic or apoplectic ancestor. I'm not sure. But all right, back into the race, because no one cares about my vocabulary except my mother. She said that's the #1 sign of intelligence is vocabulary. I don't know that I believe that, but you know who believes in this is Joachim Plummer's. There he is, Team Experimental. He's riding inside. He's riding outside. What? This guy, right? Oh, my goodness. And he's handsome, and he's got a full head of hair. I hate him already. As we look on board, we see it from his point of view. He loves to have that, what we call, view 3, which is through the virtual eyeballs of your rider. He can get those gaps, and he's pulling back Ryan Christensen. All right, here's what's happening in the women's ride right now. Ina Ketzer and Lucy Collins, all three together right there. Oh, we've got Thomas, right? Sarah Thomas, the Vixen rider. Rachel Ruby Zambrano is going to do another 9 races today. I predict it right now. She's 5 seconds back of the group, doing a nice climb here on the wall of Watopia. You see the alien statues over there just a little bit. I know they're not alien. They're just, representative statues, but they are pretty dang awesome. Okay, Ina Ketzer and Lucy Collins have been back and forth all season. One of them is going to get an invite to CVR World Cup Vancouver. That's in British Columbia. That's in Canada. For those of you playing the at-home game, one of these women is going to have the opportunity to be invited to that live event in just 2 short weeks. That's not when the event is. They'll be decided in 2 short weeks. Lucy is not going to let Ina get away from her
Chris,
on
how's
this.
It going?
Hey, glad to see you guys here. Okay, this is my friend Lucy Collins doing a nice job chasing it up the hill right here for Team Draft. She's getting out of the saddle and just pushing it, trying to make sure that she stays connected with Ketzer, and she's doing exactly that. We recognize that Vixen kit and Vixen hairdo. They like to rock the hawk, but it looks like these 3 women trying to animate the front of this race, separating themselves from the rest of that women's field. But this is the separator right here. And there she is right there. Thomas on her sweet Vixen kit. She is a savvy, experienced rider and definitely trying to stay cool. The purple in the background, the orange around the border. That's a Vixen kit right there. Look at that. Look at that cool little fox up there. All right. So Frank, they've kicked this thing to the top of the hill here, and I apologize. I pushed some funky buttons, I think, just a second ago, and I sent our friend Beth into the nether region. Okay, not the nether region. That sounds terrible. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get lots of notes from our producer, Kathy, saying that I violated most of our broadcast rights and stipulations today. I talked about thighs. I talked about nether regions and insulted perhaps Beth's lineage. Ina Ketzer right there. She's not alone on the course. Well, she's not alone in her spin studio. She's got a couple of people with her on the course, including Lucy Collins and Sarah Thomas. Okay. Frank, I'm going to take a breath here, and you tell me what the value of this race is for these women. Right now, Collins just a couple of points ahead of Ketzer. Could that standing flip today, or possibly by the end of next week?
Hey, Chris, I'm going to let you cover while I try and figure out some Beth issues in terms of why she's not connecting. Actually, I think she is connected. We could probably hear her if she chatted, but she can't hear us, so she doesn't want to talk over us. So I'm going to solve that problem and be back with you in just a bit.
Okay, well, while we're making issues or listing Beth's issues, one of them is that she's unable to hear us, but the other one may be that she just wants to make everyone happy. She just wants everyone to be happy. And Beth, you know what? Sometimes you just can't. You can't. But you can get your sound on, and we'll get that working for you here in just a second. Okay, so Lucy Collins doing a really, really nice job. Just staying in a great position on this. She is showing one of the really interesting characteristics of this race series, right? Which is that we get to almost reach out and touch the athletes. Lucy doing a nice job getting her stream going and sending it through to CVR World Cup. Now, the way you can watch any of these streams that you want and cheer for these riders, actually donate $1 or $5 and jump in and they can see it, is over at cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. And I need to remind myself, and you can do this at home, to remind our producer, Kathy, to build a lower third with that sweet web address, because people want to see it, right? People want to see that. All right. So Lucy Collins and Ina Ketzer are here right at the top of this connection. But you can go to, by the way, cycleview.cvrworldcup.com and get there and see those things. Okay, you can watch this live also in a number of different places, including Facebook. That tends to be where we go live the most often. But we're also on Mixer a little bit and blowing the minds of all the gamers in the world. Which is interesting. And Frank, if we get a chance to, I want to talk just a little bit about what I have to do this afternoon in a sports radio interview, but for esports, how strange that is in the world that we live in. Okay. The interesting thing that I want to point out here is, especially with this race, I'm going to jump over and check out our CycleView stats right here. Ina Ketzer right now, they're coming down. This is the nice, relaxing part of the course. I always found that if I'm with the main group or I'm with the group that I need to be with, we get to this point, it's several minutes of relaxation. But the men are a little bit further up ahead, quite a bit further up ahead. Plumbers still trying to stay connected with that group, including Norm Hughes, Ryan Christensen. But he has actually, reconnected with this group. This is our collection of 6 riders right now, including Ryan Christensen. Might be 7 in this group, maybe 8. Hard for me to count. Might have to take off a shoe. But Ryan Christensen, you'll notice on the left side of his name, you've got polka dots. Those polka dots indicate that he climbed the hill faster than anyone else. Hey there, Ryan Christensen, sitting out there in your atrium, looking all cool. That actually reminds me of the atrium in the hotel that we all stayed in Paris, which was super, super cool. He was there for that one. I'm almost 100% positive. Lionel Vichusin. I'm gonna give the J a pronunciation here. I'd like to meet this guy at some point. Proper good dude, RCC rider. He's got his real life kit with that same RCC like he's got next to his name. But Ryan Christensen attacked on that wall, on the climb. It's not that dramatic. It's only about 80 meters of total climb there. But it is just crazy. It's super, super steep and hard. And it takes the fastest riders a little over 2 minutes to get there. It takes your boy about 3.5 minutes right now. That's as fast as I can do it. But this is the view from Lionel. As they come close to the start finish, he's using the overlay that helps us tell his story even better. All right. So Lionel doing a nice job there. I continue to say, mistakenly, he's a German rider. He's not. He's flying the Belgian flag. And thank you, Facebook, for calling me an idiot. Sometimes I forget. Usually not while I'm broadcasting, but that is the great thing about making a mistake on video, is that you get called out by your people. So thank you again for keeping me sane. All right. So as we continue to work out these issues, we check on board with our guy right there. That would be Joachim Plommers. If I am Nathan Guerra, I'm going to call him Plugers. Our guy, Nathan, I always want to call him by that name because watching all of his broadcasts, that's the name I know. But I had to ask him when we were together in London, Joachim, how do you pronounce your last name? And I actually used this really cool pronunciation website. I had a couple of different options, had them written down in my notebook phonetically, and then auditioned those pronunciations. And he got a big grin across his face. And as the wonderful guy that he is, said, "Oh, whatever, you can say it however, but it's pronounced," and he confirmed to me, Plommers, almost as if it were Plahmers, Plommers. I need to find out the same from Vajusin. I do not know which is which. Okay. So as we look at the shape of this race, that was an unbelievably fast lap, about 12 minutes. My goodness, I would not be surprised if at least during one of these races we don't see that orange jersey on somebody's back in this group. I know some of these guys have done it as fast as low 11s and high 10s at one point. That is really crazy fast. Again, since we're not really interested in comparing my times, about 15 minutes is about my average around, unless I'm caught in a big race like this and I can get pulled up in the draft. Here is what Lionel sees. He puts in a big dig. High cadence right there. He likes to climb high cadence, taking smaller bites, and he goes for a big attack off the front here, the RCC. He's going to force these folks to respond to him. Wolf trying to respond. Plommers trying to respond. Christensen in the red. Christensen has that polka dot jersey. He was the fastest man up this the last time, but can he catch on to Vajusin? He might be able to. He's closing it down just a little bit. 10 watts per kilo. There is Ryan. He is doing it differently, isn't he? He's out of the saddle, taking bigger bites with each of those legs, right? You can tell by the cadence right there, the lower RPMs, those are bigger bites. Vajusin a little bit higher, but his heart rate is going to spike. That is just that math of it. If you're taking bigger pedal strokes, yes, more fatigue in the legs, but lower heart rate overall. And of course, Christensen comes up and catches on. But then he sits back down. We can see his body right there. You can tell what's going on in his world. He is just easing it up just a hair right there. Norm Hughes trying to catch on, but the man who seems to be caught out a little bit right now is Joachim Plommers, and he has got to drill it right now. He's got to try to stay in that group. This is what he sees. He's on the back of a group here. Maybe the savvy of a rider who's done this many, many times is what we're seeing right here. He knows that he has, and he's out of the saddle in his backyard, his garden, if you will. He's got to make sure that he just stays connected. Look at that. Team Experimental, a rider just in front of him. That's Marina in front of him, going to help him get back in the group here. There is a gap. Looks like to be about 6, 7, 8 seconds. We can't see his gaps because of the way his screen is. That's going to be fine. But these guys are going to have to work together to pull that back. He's got a trusted lieutenant to make him do that. Some guys with some fast times when the confetti comes out. Yep, that is what that means. Now, these folks are going to have to work together. They did last time, the KRT rider. That's a strong guy. Wolf leading the charge right here. A number of different riders all ready to do this and make it happen up here. This is what's fabulous about the calm of a guy like Joachim Plommers. This is just lap 2 that they're on right now. No time to panic. No time to throw it down. He's going to watch that gap very, very carefully. But look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 men in front of him. It's now time for him to start sled dogging. He's not even opening his mouth. He's doing it telekinetically, right? He's just sending this like, well, of course, the true Dr. X that he is, right? Professor X, that is, with his X-Men. He's sending it through his mind, telling Marino what he wants him to do. And he says, don't worry about it, brother. I'll come to the front and set the new pace. They are giving a little bit of time away to those two riders. Ryan Christensen with a nice pull back to Vajusin. But you've got Vajusin up there and Christensen now with 18 seconds on the chase group. This is a big move, and it came at a big time. These guys trying to make things just a little bit bigger. But what's going to happen is Plumbers and the rest of that group, he's got to take Schaefer with him, and Wolf. Of course, his teammate Marina can't get too big. In fact, you'll see there is watts per kilo under his name come down just a little bit. And he's just looking around going, are you boys coming with me? Yep, it looks like he is. Then now he's setting that pace. He's got to take that train with him because he's going to need those guys to help close those gaps. If Marina can give him, 30 seconds of power on the front, stronger than what Vajusin and Christensen are doing, that's enough. If Wolf can contribute, 15 seconds on the front, that will help pull all of these back. Vajusin with a nice big trial move. This is kind of when they're testing it out. Remind me, internet community, I want to ask Frank that question about an attack on lap 2. You're being chased by Joachim Plumbers. This guy's been to multiple events, that'd be CVR World Cup events, right? He's been to the live events. This guy qualifies for this stuff. He's a strong rider. He knows what he's doing. So why attack on lap 2? You're not going to get away from him, likely. Maybe you will. But we got to ask him that when we get him back. So as we're working out these details here, we see a number of different folks chiming in all over the place, which is pretty dang cool. Okay, well, big thanks to Casey and Allison who are checking this out, watching us. Frank Deal with a wattage bazooka. That was a wattage bazooka. Maybe not quite like a Kai Barrett wattage bazooka. That thing, I'm pretty sure NATO has banned his wattage bazooka because it's so powerful. It'll destroy small countries. In fact, well known for destroying Wachovia. There it is, second Marvel Universe reference of the race. Many apologies. I'm like, does this guy just tell dad jokes? No, I just talk like a dad because I'm a dad. So there. Okay, back on board with the women here. In fact, I gotta remember what the Schlusse de Lee. I gotta get my German pronunciations back up because I love seeing her interface with the German language in there. Okay, so we've got Ina Ketzer and Lucy Collins battling it out here. But you know what? Sarah Thomas, the Vixen rider, says, I am not going to be discounted in this. I expect to equal time. I want you to talk also about me. Well, we will do that. Here's the interesting thing about Sarah Thomas. She is the UK rider. I've called her name before in races that I've done in other locations. My buddy Jason Flores and I, for a long time, called the Saturday ODZ women's race. Happened every 2 weeks. And Sarah was a big feature in that as well. She's at the top of this B division. I don't think anybody's going to touch her. Can't wait until the postseason to see her head-to-head against some other riders. But in this women's field, Ina and Lucy are just back and forth. Ina's in a great spot right now. And overall max points, there are only 3 points to separate these two women as they do this. But right now, about 5 meters separate Ina and Lucy. But she's going to pull them back really, really quick. There is that team draft jersey. Now, that is not actually, I believe, their real jersey. They have just accepted the La Fuga jersey as their own, but you always get those draft riders with that red, almost draft slipstream behind. There's our friend Lucy right there. She's showing you that she's doing real work on a real bike. So interesting to me that so many people have adopted or have let their their Akibe flag fly, as it were. I did not call you a freak, Sideo. I love you. Watashi wa baka desu, as I always say to him, which is Japanese for I'm an idiot. Not him, me. And he smiles and nods. I'm not sure that that's polite. All right. So she is doing her best work to stay there with Ina. Now, Ina is a slight rider. She is, as you can see, she may, I can't even give you the kilos because it's not a whole lot, but I'm pretty sure that I've got a bag of flour in my pantry that may weigh more that she can. There is my friend Beth. And I can hear her. I want to begin this long, rambling introduction to our friend Beth York with an apology for all of the things I may have said in your absence. I did not mean them. Sometimes things just come out of my mouth when I'm going solo. I just keep talking. It's a stream of consciousness. Hey, how about those Teletubbies? Crazy, right? But that's just the way things go. So if I can, I want to introduce my friend Beth right now and ask her what's at stake here for these two women, Ina Ketzer and Lucy Collins, and maybe what, as a B writer, can Sarah Thomas do to spoil this day for these two women? Beth, what can you tell us? And now I've offended Beth yet again. She'll jump in and start telling me what she thinks in just a minute. Ina Ketzer, you'll notice, has the polka dot jersey as she comes up the rise here. That is indication that she is a strong climber. Lucy Collins, you'll notice, with the green jersey next to her name. That means that she is a crazy fast sprinter. She came through that sprint section faster than any other woman in the race right now. Not just in this race, but on the island. So both of those things, she grabs a drink of water, indicate something different to each other. Ina Ketzer, I can climb faster than you. And to Lucy Collins, it is something different altogether. We pulled away from the race here just a moment. There we go. We'll bring it back, right? So Lucy Collins says, I can sprint faster than you. Ina Ketzer says, I can climb faster than you. So which will be the big value here? Well, if Ina can get away on that final lap, or perhaps on the big kicker right after the Julian Washington Bridge, that's right after Sprint Town, that's right after the waterfall, which is right after the T, which is right after the bridge, which is right after where we are right now, the descent. If she can get away on the final lap here, they're just on lap 2 of 4 with 24 kilometers to go. Then she can get away. But of course, if Lucy can stick around, she's got the confidence with that green jersey in her pocket. She's not wearing it right now because she's wearing her selective jersey for the race. Then she might be able to say, I can out sprint you. But there, just lurking, right, is Sarah Thomas. She's the Spanish Inquisition here. There she is. And that's Sarah Thomas right now. We appreciate her. She is a strong, savvy rider. She's listed as a B right now, but that's not going to stick around for long, my friend. You're going to get an upgrade letter. We regret to inform you that you cannot hang out in the Bs anymore. You're going to have to do something else. You're going to have to be here with the A's because you can ride with these women. In fact, there's a really good chance that you can beat these women. Okay. Back on board, Lucy Collins right here. She's grabbing a quick bite, a quick sip of water, and she is doing her work at the front of this race, smiling big as she does. We love you, Lucy. You are one of the absolute best. Everyone believes that except for Ina Ketzer, who wants to drive you into, actually, I don't know what her motivations are. She probably is just racing her race like she does, trying to stay with Lucy. There is our friend Rachel Ruby Zambrano. She is doing a nice job. This will probably be one of many races for her today. She's backed off the pace. Well, I would say a little bit, but no, she's not heart rate nice in that endurance zone. She is, climbing her way back. A little bit of injury, a little bit of illness for her this year, but she is a pillar of the women's racing community and doing a great work wherever she goes. Sometimes it's as a racer inspiring other racers. Sometimes it's as a cheerleader standing next to them, shouting down in her best New Jersey accent that your legs don't control you. You control your legs. All right, there's Ina right there. She's got the look of determination. This is a tricky little spot here, especially this next little section. I have gotten dropped so many times that they call this Haskell Hill, right? You're like, Chris, that's not a hill. You're right. It's not. It's just a little bump of a rise of a hint of a shadow of a climb.
I'm not getting sound on it either, Beth.
Oh. Now, I heard Beth just as I hear her right now. She's coming through right now, I believe, to myself. Well, yep, I can hear you just fine. Look at who is just instigating now at the front. 2 meters, 3 meters. They're not that far behind. The Mohawk comes into view, the purple jersey, the pink stripe. We got to get John Mayfield and the rest of the crew going on some jerseys because Team Draft needs their jersey in game. The Velocity Vixens need their jersey in game. The ODZ women have had their own jersey for more than a year now, and we can't quite get it into game. Come on, guys. I understand that there's a battle with assets and things like that, but we should mention some assets we can do without that don't need to be preloaded. And okay, we're not going to do that. All right, back to the men's race. Third time around this climb. This is where it got crazy last time. We missed it when they came back together, but it was probably nothing dramatic, just slow and methodical. All of those guys came back together. And we've got Plommers, Vajusin, Christensen, all back together again. Norm Hughes, the KRT rider, also in there. Marina, who is the trusted lieutenant of Plommers, just helping him get back to that group, or maybe vice versa. Now, with a little bit less in his legs, there he is. You can see him in the basement, in his bunker. That would be Vajusin. Lionel doing a nice job, the Belgian rider. It's getting a little bit more animated here at the front. He is starting to push it down. There go his crazy RPMs. People can't see those RPMs at first, right? They're not watching his screen. Ryan Christensen. This looks like a little bit of let's work together, my brother. Plommers, though, really marking this closely. He's a few meters behind, but he's not going to let them put 15 seconds on him. But you're starting to see some of the wreckage. He's got to go with them right now. He doesn't have that crew to slowly pace him back. And Christensen is going to be the first over the climb here, but no one's going to get that polka dot jersey from him. He's going to have the fastest time. Again, he keeps that little psychological piece. It looks like Wolf did the most on the previous lap. He's got that orange jersey, and that's the orange jersey in game. He's the fastest hilly lap right now in game. Plommers stays with that group. He just set a new record, 30-day record. That was one of the fastest climbs. That surprises me because that first climb was crazy go nuts. All right, Plommers in with the group, Vajusin, Marina. This is where, I don't want to say it gets boring. It doesn't get boring. In fact, it still gets very tactical. These guys are in a position where they've got to watch every small rise because that's when the big digs come. That one, what makes this strategic, esport what it is. Ryan Christensen. And by the way, you can check out any of their positions and the live stats over at cycledata.cvrworldcup.com. If you want to watch these riders live, you can do it at cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. Again, internet, remind me. All right. The previous results ticker is awesome. Thank you, Neil Stewart. I would tend to agree with you. Go Team Draft, Claudia Baring says. Go Lucy. Loving her some Lucy. Claudia, nice job earlier today. That is some great stuff from you. Frank Deal reminding us that there was some ouch earlier. I hear my friend Beth again. Maybe it's just in my head that I'm hearing her. I'm not sure. Maybe, I've disappointed her yet again. Ryan Christensen, you disappoint me. That is not true, Beth. I've done it many, many times. Ooh, listing hard to starboard is our guy, Vajusin. He may have put in a little bit too much, almost a little trial attack here by Plommers at the front in the pink jersey. So you've raced these races so many times, Beth. Tell me what the psychological advantage is to having a jersey in game next to your name. For you, when you've got one next to your name, what does it tell you?
Well, it tells you that you have the fastest time on that climb, and that brings you a lot of confidence when you're coming back to it again, because you know that you got to the top the fastest, and that makes you feel pretty confident each time you hit that climb. And hitting it 4 times today, that's a challenge.
Yeah, no kidding. I took today off. This is a sick day for me because that climb is sick. It's not a ton, right? It's only 100 meters total for the entire race, just under 1,000 feet of total climbing. But that is that's a lot. So. Especially when it's that steep. These folks still together in this group, doing a nice job. Ryan Christensen taking in a little bit of that sunlight, trying to get that vitamin D to activate in his skin and his bloodstream to give him quite a bit more health. But these guys stringing it out just a little bit here as they come across the bridge here. This is not the JW Bridge. We got to find out the name of this bridge. It's got to have a bridge. Maybe it's the Beth York Bridge. Why is this not the Beth York Bridge? Why can't we just rebrand it right now? Just call John and say, hey, bro, this is now the Beth York Bridge.
It would be nice and short and sweet, right? Easy to say, yep. Rolls off the tongue. All right, coming up here on the backside, we've got, back to the women here. They are coming yep. through lap 2, so they're about halfway done. You can see Lucy and Ina and Thomas. The familiar names here. These ladies are working hard today, and right now, you're gonna save it because you've got 2 left to go. Hope they didn't spend it. All right, coming down the backside of the climb here on with Ketzer. He's chasing down just 6 seconds ahead of him. Looks like the chase group of Fowler and Woods with the lead pack a little bit further on up.
Yeah, that is. So here's an interesting thing. And Cunningham points it out on our Mixer channel as well. Lucy Cunningham is from Boise. She and I have actually been teammates. A few years ago, we raced on a team called Rhino Rush, and we were teammates together. She was faster than me then, too. Which is crazy cool. I'm a fan of Ina too. But I can't help but to root for my teammate Lucy. It's great to see her doing as well as she is in this, because right now we're getting into the great part of our local season here. You can be outside almost every day. I went and knocked out 20 miles solo yesterday myself outside because it was awesome. All right, checking in with these different. Hey, there's Rick Woods from Team Experimental. We like that dude. He's a good, proper dude. We're kind of passing around here through the field here just to kind of get a sense of how different folks are doing their setups. This is really cool to see these different folks doing their thing in the screen here. It's interesting to see what different people have done with their backgrounds on the other side. Some people electing to go with that even proportion one, which is best for the broadcast here, which is why we like it. Here's a great one. That would be Felipe right there. Hey, there's Ryan Goldenberg. We know this guy. He was a live performer in Los Angeles, wasn't he, Beth?
He sure was. He brought his game. It was wonderful to meet him, and he was really just a good comrade for a lot of the folks there. It looks like we're back on board here with Lucy, who is she pulling away? Well, she's just in front of Ina a little bit, and yeah. Thomas, our Vixen rider, isn't too far behind. So this is their 3rd time making this climb, and they're not hitting it softly. I mean, they hit the first 2 climbs pretty hard, and it looks like they've got 1 more to go. Do you think you'll see any breaks here?
Well, this is the penultimate climb. Penultimate, and we'll put this on your vocabulary list. You on the Mixer world right now, you're like, I don't want to write words down. Penultimate, which is next to last. This is the next to last climb for these folks up here, and Lucy Collins is definitely the one who was kind of instigating for a little bit here. But Sarah Thomas, she says, I may be classified in the B division, but I can beat your A, ladies. That's right, I can whip your A.
There's that little section on this climb where it just flattens out for a second, and you can definitely take advantage of those high watts if you keep them. Naturally, your tendency is to soften up a little bit, as you might do outside, but in the game and on your trainer, it's best to keep the power up, and you can kind of do a little surge to the front like we saw with Thomas do right there. But I can tell you from racing this course this morning in the B zone, when I hit it the 3rd time, my mind was just saying, stay together and save it for the last lap.
Save it
Hang
for the last
on
lap.
by your fingernails.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not going to make so much of a difference at this point that you'll be able to recover fully from it. And that is the danger.
Yeah, and I think you have to kind of check yourself, because you have to say, okay, well, how much more do I have? Am I just tiring myself out, or am I tiring the field out? Because you can, again, try to put the hurt on your friends there with you, to just take a little bit more out of their legs. But I think we're going to see maybe this break apart on the last lap. But
Lucy,
these women are strong.
Lucy Collins just getting the call from the team car saying, all right, it's time to pick this up, sister. Now, just a quick, I mean, people love it when we play the pronunciation game. You have spoken with her, I believe. You always pronounce Ketzer's name as Ina. I keep saying Ina. I'm wrong, aren't I?
I don't know. We will have to find that out. I had a nice bio sent over on her, and I'll pull it up here in a second. And it was 3 short letters. It seems so harmless, but there are a couple different ways you can say it. So if you know what, maybe we'll take a poll and see who has it right.
No kidding. Claudia Baring.
Saying that right.
Yeah, Ketzer. I'm pretty sure that we're solid on that. Lots of cool folks joining us. Kim Little checking things out. Johnny Noblet. Don't worry, I'll offend you momentarily, Johnny. I'll come up with something to say, maybe about your shed or your babies. No, I wouldn't do that. He built a couple years ago this wicked cool riding shed in the back of his house to do this, and it was the envy of many, many people who are forced to ride in their hallway or their basement. But Claudia Baring, concerned that there may not be enough time to recover for these folks. But Sarah Thomas looking really comfortable. Heart rate starting to come down. This is how, okay, watch just for a second. Watch her heart rate. She'll grab a little bit of water. She'll get a few more breaths in, and watch her heart rate drop to a comfortable position. She's breathing shallow through her mouth. There's our friend Rachel Ruby Zambrano. She is well known for her slow climbing pace. This may be something her coach is having her do. That might be Hunter Allen and the Peaks coaching group, having her do some climbs at taking big bites to build that top end. I think you and I probably both had coaches at one point say, yeah, go out and do your favorite climb and do it in your biggest gear, 30 RPMs and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, Ruby is a world-class triathlete, Ironman long course, and so she and a coach herself, so she's got something up her sleeve that she's training for sure.
Absolutely. I'm impressed at how quickly she's come back. All right, back to the men here. As we look at Lionel Vajusin right now, he's coming to the front again. He is the quick cadence climber. Say that 3 times fast. He's going to come up this hill right here. But right behind him, the polka dot jersey man himself, Ryan Christensen, who blew the doors off this thing at the very beginning and showed everybody that he's the fastest guy. The question is, will he instigate? Joachim Plommers being very, very thoughtful. You see the cadence start to pick up. That's Vajusin right there in the front in the gray jersey. He digs it a little bit, but Ryan Christensen with a big explosion off the front there. My goodness, he's going to try to get as much separation as possible coming up this hill, Beth. I don't know if any of these guys can stay with him, but they may not have to stay all the way with him, but they do have to stay with each other. Plommers has got to stay on Vajusin, doesn't he, if he has any chance of surviving this climb.
I think he's going to keep the pedal down right till it levels out, and those guys he's going to get a huge gap. It's 4 seconds. It doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it becomes a bigger gap really fast if those guys aren't catching up. That little steep part, right, as you come around the bend on the right that they just did where he attacked, that is a spot where you can really make a difference, because if you catch it by a couple seconds when other people aren't ready, you can get away. And you can see that Christensen right now has a 3-second lead on Vajusin, who's trying to come around and catch him. He looks very serious. He's working that high cadence, 94, 95 at 484 watts. He's making it look pretty easy.
No kidding. Come to my house, dude. Power my electronics. You could do it. Lionel, the man. Now look at that. Marina, the team experimental rider, pacing his guy back. He's doing a little bit more in the watts per kilo department to just keep Plommers and keep that gap from getting too big. And it looks like it is going to do the trick. Christensen, probably about 7. He'll finish about 10 to 15 seconds ahead. Oh, my goodness. Listening hard to port is our guy right there, Joachim Plommers, taking on water. But he's going to be able to catch on to he's right there with his teammate. They're wearing that beautiful pink jersey today. That's an interesting one for Team Experimental, but he's right there with him. He's letting his guy pace him back up just a little bit further ahead. You can see the leader of this race coming under the banner right now. This was a great move. It's going to tap some legs. It's going to cause some sweat. It's going to cause some really cool, like, wet hair curls to form on cool dudes' foreheads, but we're going to ignore that for now because these guys have to get back in it. There's the gap to close right now. He sees it, and his man, Marina, is going to do that for him. That's the great thing about having a teammate in a race like this. And Beth, as they level out here and try to make this chase, talk about the confidence that a teammate gives you. You raced, of course, in CVR World Cup LA, and you had teammates in those final races. What kind of boost does that give you?
Well, it's such an incredible boost in the sense of you know, accountability. You know, you always want to bring your best for yourself, but you know, just that extra layer of having someone that has your back and you have their back, and something to fight for. And you know, it's such a psychological advantage, even if there are times when it might not actually present an actual advantage, but there's definitely an advantage of having someone you can trade pulls with, and that you can. That you're there to be there for, and they're there for you. So it's a huge psychological advantage, and oftentimes, look at him, he's closing it down. He did it. Now that is painful because the two guys in front of him are not working quite as hard as he is to try to close that gap. It's deceiving when you see it down the road like that. You think, oh, it's just going to be a few extra pedals, and it's not. All right, so we're back on board with Ryan Christensen here.
Yep.
And
Bujesen. You know, they call him Bujesen. They call him Wolverine.
Oh,
Would you believe it?
Does he have the
yes, Allison Kubota points it out in chat right now. It says, "Go Wolverine." That's our guy, Lon Sanders Wolverine. Yep, he has got some unobtainium in his veins right there. Maybe he's taking a sip of unobtainium right there. He is indestructible. Vujison. So he's in with the right crew. He's got 15 seconds now on Marina, Norm Hughes, Plumbers, and well, that is the trio right there. Those guys have to work together. 15, 17 seconds. Now this will drop a little bit. Those guys will get a little bit of that big boost as they come. They're a little bit faster with 4 riders, but they've got to do more watts. They've got to always have someone at the front pushing a little bit harder to catch those guys. There is the telemetry and the gaps. That'd be Lionel Vujison from Belgium. I want to say that again. Ryan Christensen from Australia. And then you've got Norm, Marco, and Joachim right there in that chase group. It shows 9 seconds here. This may be a little bit more accurate than those in game because they go point to point. This actually goes time-based gaps. And then you've got that next chase group. It looks like they are separated. Igor Kopsy in that group as well. Hassan, Matthias, and Jared all just a little bit further behind. Okay, back on board here, Beth. They're coming across the Beth York Bridge. Oh, my goodness.
We'll call it that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, and so we're going to be going into the S's here, and the S's are kind of sneaky, aren't they, Chris?
They are. It's one of those things where you can get just a little bit of recovery, but you have to really spin hard over the top of those things. I was able to, when I raced a little bit more often, have some real success, that punching that hill after the JW bridge and really navigating those smartly, I think. Spin with low pressure on the legs coming down those hills. As soon as you hit the bottom of that next little rise, or even just a hair before, really crank it up and over the top, right? Because it's little roller coasters. And look, right now, Vujisen's coming up on Haskell Hill, as we call it here. This is where Haskell gets dropped all the time. It's only 5%. It's only like 75 yards. But it's happened way too many times. Getting dropped off.
Well, it is easy, but so they're 12 seconds, 13 seconds back here. The chase group,
Falling.
And yeah, I was thinking it was going to close down because at one point it was 9 seconds, but they still have a chance. But they have to do more right now. Doing whatever 3.35. That's not enough watts to catch. They need to pick it up if they have any hope of catching these guys who are 5.2 2 watts per kilogram. They're up over 6 just a second ago. So it doesn't really look like those guys in the chase are actually trying to chase it down. I think they're like, okay, which one of us is going to have third? We're going to save it. Let those guys take 1 and 2. They can fight it out for first and second, and the 3 of us will fight it out for third.
Well, and you know what? Here's the interesting thing: is that Marco Marina, who is Plummer's teammate here, a little bit further down in the standings. He's in 4th position right now on the course overall, but he's in 15th in the overall points. So he's definitely 14th. He's definitely working for his guy today. Now, Plumbers would love to catch on to the back of these two because he does not want to give any more points away to Christensen, and he doesn't want Lionel Wolverine Vujicic to catch any more of his Vujicic. I like the way you say it better, even if it's incorrect. Thank you for joining us. You are joining us at the right time, Mixer and Facebook. We're really, really glad that you're here. This is the final lap of this CVR World Cup, week 7. This is the league CVR World Cup. This is week 7 of 8, and the points and the standings are starting to really gel. And we're going to see here very shortly the big finish to this. He's got to ramp up there. Oh my goodness, his hair was on fleek, as it were, just a little bit ago, and now it's gone a little bit crazy. The Wolverine, of course, his hair is always perfect because that's what Lionel does. Vujicic kicking it into high gear. Is Ryan Christensen going to come with him? He does this really high cadence approach, over 100, 120, almost like Fred Flintstone standing still while running. And it looks like he's taking these guys. They're coming to the bottom of this climb just a few seconds after, right? Christensen trying to catch on, really no gap to Vujicic right there. Wolverine is not going to slash his way through this one. Christensen, maybe Magneto, stuck on his wheel. There we go. And the rest of Team X, the X-Men chasing behind there. Plumbers, 18 seconds back. Norm Hughes also in that group. Marina also fighting with the X-Men to stay in that group. KRT is the only other team represented in that chase group. We see 11 seconds here. They're going to have to really ramp it up. This is the section where you got to take back that time. You got to take back it. Take it back on the hill, don't you, Beth? And you got to take it back in the S's here, because once you start that descent, that's it.
Yeah, no, they need to go now. They need to go maybe 5 seconds ago to try to close it down. They have to be putting more watts per kilogram than the people in front. And when I saw Vujicic and Christensen both doing 6.7, 7.0 watts per kilogram, that these guys have to be at least doing that, and they weren't at that time. It's 16 seconds. It's gonna be tough. All right, coming around the corner here, Ryan Christensen and Lionel are. Oh, it looks like Lionel has a 1 second gap here. Christensen responds with 8.7. Okay, we've already got numbers in the red coming down the hill. We haven't even made it to 300 meters yet. These guys are picking it up, but we know these guys are going to be well over 10 watts per kilogram. So right now, 8.0, 7.0. That's like child's play. 2 seconds. Vujicic, take it away, Chris.
It is. Oh, my goodness. So Vujicic with a really savvy move trying to kick this thing off the front. He knew he needed to attack early. Ryan Christensen going to come back. Now, can he get enough speed to catch Christensen's wheel? Christensen knows he needs escape velocity. There it is. Vujicic kicks it into high gear, but so does Christensen. 12 watts per kilo, 700 watts. That is crazy. He's going to find himself. Vujicic backs it off and says, I'm going to take second place, my friend. That's the best I can do at this point. Christensen going to cross first under that new and improved Tour de California banner. This is what he just did. Now Vujicic will come in second place. Plumbers delivering. This is the view of Christensen when he had the opportunity to overtake. Look at that mean face. That is a face that your mother would say, be nice, son. But Ryan Christensen not going to be nice. He comes around him. He knows he needs that escape velocity to win this thing. The Cask of sponsored rider, he is a really strong Continental Tour rider in Australia, shows why he can sprint like the best of them. And here is Plumbers and his view as he's coming into the big finish. 300 meters to go. Beth, you take this one. What in the world are we seeing here with Joachim Plumbers?
Oh my gosh, where he goes. He starts to pick it up. You see him break away. He starts to chase. And the three of them, I can't see the rider's name on the side of who's in the blue jersey. Chris?
Let's make it up. It could be Fred Flintstone right there. He comes around.
Fred Flintstone.
It is.
But it's Flintstone for the win. I knew he was in the pink jersey, and I didn't want to call the wrong name, but he came around, and oh, nice job. He beat Marina and Hughes.
It was another 30 seconds back to that chase group. Here is what we see from Plummer's point of view. Right, Marina, his teammate, was not going to sprint around him at the end. He's got to have those points. He's in 14th, but he's definitely got to beat the other guy there. Fabulous. Okay.
Looks like Lucy has a little bit of a lead right now on Ina. So it looks like she got 7 seconds on that last climb. So she, a little bit of strategy there. She held it together on the third climb, didn't blow herself up, kept something in the bank, and spent it just there. But she did get 6 seconds on Ina, but I wouldn't count Ina out on that 7 seconds right now. Anything can happen on this descent. So there's a couple things there are a couple inclines that happen. And if Lucy does back off a little bit and Ina keeps the pedal down, she can close it. And I know that she has the strength to do it. So I think it's whether or not she wants it. She looks pretty serious right now. She looks like she is working hard, but don't count Sarah out. Sarah, the Dixon rider's coming up to the top here. You can see that she can see just ahead of her, one of the riders there, when she's backing off a little bit on this climb, 2.7 watts per kilogram. I think she knows she's not going to make up looks like a little bit of a substantial gap there. She must have got gapped over a minute, if I'm reading that correctly. All right, back on board with Lucy. Now, one of the things that I love about watching Lucy is she always looks like she's smiling, even when she's in pain.
Yes.
She showed us a great finish, a great sprint. She couldn't have been more psyched last week. And right now she sees that Ina is coming down. It was 7 seconds. Now it's 4 seconds. So she needs to keep the pedal down. But as you can look at those numbers on the right-hand side, you can see Ina 4.5 watts per kilogram and Lucy 2.7. That is not the way to keep that gap. So Lucy has to be at least matching what Ina is doing behind her, if not doing a little bit more. And again, it's that psychological thing, Chris, right? You're chasing your Ina and you're saying, okay, she's backing down 3.4. All right, I can definitely do 4 right now, and I'm going to just hammer it. And then, Lucy's like, oh God, I have to give more, because you can't expect the hill to carry you away. It won't. No. You still have to work. So there she goes, up out of the saddle, saying, okay, fine, I'll add a little. 3 seconds gets a little scary, Lucy. But she's still smiling. She's still smiling.
She is. Now, here's the interesting thing. Lucy right now has she's got the support of a house plant. But of course, Ina has the support of Christoph. That's Christoph Ketzer next door. He is in the same, he's in the same race. Let's just say it that way. And he is giving her the encouragement that she needs. A moment ago after that climb, she was mouth breathing. But you'll look, that jersey has changed hands. Lucy Collins with that savvy attack on there. You're like, I want to see what happened back there. Actually, we've got something in the works that will allow you to be able to see that in future races. Our wonderful, our producer, Kathy, rocking the instant replay, can actually now capture those attacks. Even if we're calling the sprint finish of another race, it will grab this part of the course as well. We can actually go back, take a peek at it at different times. That is pretty dang cool. Okay, Lucy Collins just now coming back into contact with Ina Ketzer. But here's the great thing. Lucy looks fresh. Ina, a little bit less fresh because she's had to put on this big chase. Now, while Christoph is next to her giving her encouragement, there's not a bit of draft that comes from having him as a companion there. Well, certainly not the kind that we would speak in polite company about, but they're in a small space there together. But as she comes back, she's going to look for an opportunity to get on the wheel of Lucy Collins. And as she comes around the corner here to Haskell Hill, where dreams go to die, if you're me, she's got an opportunity to put in a little bit of pressure here. Interesting that she is using a different part of her pedal stroke right now, getting up and out of the saddle a little bit. She may be feeling some fatigue. I tend to get out of the saddle like this, and I think you do too, Beth, when you're starting to cramp a little. Any chance that she's starting to see some signs?
I think that, you're feeling those climbs and, you're trying to add your body weight to give you just a little bit more power, and just kind of
Mhm.
engage your muscles in a little bit of a different way. And, I know sometimes I can crank out the power at 75 cadence, but I can't hold
Yeah.
that for very long. So you just try to do it just to kind of get over those little risers. Yeah, I knew Ina had what it takes to close it down, which she did. Now it looks like both of the ladies right now are kind of going back into a little bit of conserve mode, because now they're under 3 watts per kilogram. From
Mhm.
experience that it doesn't feel that way.
No.
It doesn't feel like you've just completely settled in. Oh, look at that, Ina, 4.2 watts per kilogram. She's like, Beth, you know what? No, I'm not going on vacation. I am going to put the pedal down. And that was just one little moment that I took, and I'm better. I've recovered. That's all she takes. Ina is like a robot. Just 2 seconds and she's ready to go. So here you can see the telemetry. They're side by side here, coming into Sprint Town here as we know. So just a little over 3 kilometers to go. And now we saw Lucy sprint to the finish last week. She had a different cast of characters. She was sprinting against Esther Meisels, and I believe Ina was one of those 3. It'll be interesting to see. And we know that they're like different riders, right? We've got a triathlete, and Ina is also a climber, and I know she's done a lot of triathlons herself. So it'll be interesting to see who brings the power, who has what left here as we get into the S's and get to the sprint at the end. But it's definitely, I feel like no one's getting away. I don't think anyone's getting away here.
I think Lucy's going to put a little pressure on here as well. Sarah Thomas, very valiant, 3.5 laps with those folks. But once they hit that hill, she got dropped like third period French, traded it in for a study hall. And Lucy, while in her, sight, is now 2, almost 3 minutes ahead. Here we're starting to kick it up just a little bit. Lucy deciding she's going to put a little pressure on, but Ina catching every little bit of that. 4 meters, 5 meters, they're still in contact here. Lucy doing what she knows how to do, which is that to push it up and over the top of this climb to keep the spin up. Now she's put a little bit of a gap on her, 5 meters, 7 meters. Now she's out of the draft. Ina's out of the draft, but can put this back together. But here, in the chase, we see that they are right back together as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So as
those little negative seconds can come up. You see those -0, and you start to get nervous. You're like, no. And you
-0 is the number I'm most afraid of. I'm going to be honest. Right. Right.
We're pretty sure mathematically it doesn't exist except for in game. But when you see -0, it always does crack me up, but it also makes me gasp.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yep. Did you know that there's a numerophobia, arithmophobia? That's fear of numbers, Beth. True story.
True story.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us here on the After School Special.
Dr. Haskell strikes again.
I have a fear of numbers, specifically -0.
-0. Well, that's when it starts creeping away. It starts creeping away. It's almost like a little tease. It's like you better pedal now, or it's going to be -1, which is actually worse.
I prefer negative infinity ×2, but let's not go there.
Okay, we will not. Okay, so as they're together here, we're getting close to the big finish here. Frank, you've seen these 2 women race all the way along. They've each held the polka dot jersey. Lucy has held that sprint jersey. Who's going to win this sprint in your mind, Frank Garcia?
I'm going to go with Ina, or is it Ina? Whichever one it is, I'm going to go with her today. We'll see if she's got a little bit more strength in the sprint.
Beth York.
All right. Well, I think Ketzer has it today. But Lucy's going to put up a fight. That's for sure. She was so psyched with her sprint, but they started late last week, so it'll be interesting to see where they start. Coming to the 300 banner, it looks like here's just a little bit of low res, or maybe it's my eyes and I'm not wearing my glasses today. But last week they started the sprint really late, and right now Ketzer sitting behind Lucy saying, okay, I'll take the lead out. 200 banner, nothing yet. Nothing yet.
Here so, it's starting to go.
It's starting to go.
200 meters out.
Okay.
Lucy Collins with a big kick right there. Ina Ketzer, is she going to try to catch on? She may pick it up just a little bit, but Lucy is moving away from her. That's right. It's happening right now. She's going to be able to cross her first. Ina is going to be in that second spot. Here is the way Lucy saw it just a moment ago. I didn't get to put in my prediction, but I was going to say the winner is going to be the one who crosses the line first. I'm never wrong. Here she goes. Lucy Collins kicking it into high gear, gritting, smiling, as Beth described it a little bit earlier, kicking it into high gear. And as she gets out of the saddle, she really puts it down and comes across first. That gap gets bigger.
Yeah, and you can see that Ina did start to respond, but maybe she responded a little bit late and then realized, when she saw Lucy well into the red, that she wasn't going to make up that 1 second, because from my view, it looked like Lucy was over 10 watts per kilogram, which is just an incredibly strong sprint. And, she got that 1 second jump with, 100 meters to go. But that is a valiant effort. Ina had to close down that gap after the hill, 7 seconds on the climb, which I think might have extended until maybe even 10 seconds. Not really sure how big the gap got, but it was, at least 7 seconds for sure. And that is a huge amount of time to make up. And I'm sure she spent a lot there, might not have had the same energy left in the legs after that chase down. And Lucy takes it in the final sprint.
Yep. And the rest, as they say, will be the rest. I'm not sure what that's what they say, but a huge thanks to everyone who's joined us so far. I think it's about time we close this thing out. I think all the questions that we wanted to study for our final, which comes up next week, were on this little quiz. Yeah, this penultimate event here. That is absolutely right. Trench Maggot. That is a great, crazy name. But here is the big Ryan Christensen finish. This is the replay as we see it here. He just decided to deliver the pain coming around Lionel Wolverine Vujicic at the very end. Came around him, big, crazy, super fast finish. Marina was going to come in, we thought, in third position, but that spot was taken away by his teammate Ryan Christensen from his point of view. From a certain point of view, that would be the point of view of the winner, decides to make that catch at exactly the right time. I think it's interesting. He knew how much rocket fuel he had to burn, Beth, and he decided that he would launch at exactly the right time, not scared to what Lionel the Wolverine would do, but kicked it off at the right time. And then here's our guy, that'd be Plommers, Joachim Plommers.
And he is in the pink jersey there. So his teammate in the Team X, and he took the lead out there. You can see him staying tight on the wheel, and then he goes ahead and he adds that extra power. He comes around his teammate, and it is enough, as you can see, it is enough to slingshot around the front of Marina, and there he goes right to the finish. That was so perfectly executed and horribly called by me live, but I got a second chance just now, so thank you very much for the replay, Kathy.
Awesome. Speeden und Benden. Okay, she's going to save that ride. Here's the way it looks for her. Yeah, go ahead.
And here it was. You can see that Lucy is 9.4 watts per kilogram. Ina does respond. She's putting all she can, and it's just not enough. And she never backs down, 7.6, but wasn't enough to come around. And Lucy has more power at the end. And again, Ina did that heroic close, and so she had less for the finish. But we've seen Lucy does have a sprint, and she doesn't hold back. They do launch it a little later than I expected, but you can see her working. She does, and even though she gets that 1 second gap, Chris, she doesn't back down. She just carries it through the line. That is a heart, and you can see Ina working there. This is what it looks like from Ina's point of view, and she's not backing down. She just didn't have enough in her legs to get Lucy, but both of them, the fight in them and that spirit is so amazing to see, and that's why I love seeing them stream, because you can just see them dig in and not give up. It's amazing. Good job, ladies.
Yep, it is. And you can see here as we're starting to close this thing out, a right click on the on this this logo will allow you to choose. We're going to be able to show you lots of cool stuff from all of the other spaces here very, very soon. So thank you very much for joining us. This is the CVR World Cup League. This has been Beth. She's been super fabulous, and it's just awesome that we get to call these races. We want to thank our sponsors, Ceres, Cyclops, PowerTap, Garneau, who's a huge sponsor of these events, doing some fabulous work to help us with all of these big events. Now, Beth, one final thought before we go here. You've had a great season. How are you doing in your B standings?
I think I'm doing pretty well. I might have, now that I have enough races and we're doing best of 6, I might be second or first. I honestly didn't check.
You're trying to earn that spot on the bike, but you and I are both going to be side by side on the desk no matter what at CVR World Cup Vancouver, which is coming up at the end of June. So I just want to say thanks to everyone for joining us here on this cool, blessed event. And it's been awesome. Thank you, Mixer. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, MySpace. No one watched on MySpace, although that would be fun. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Trench Maggot. That's just the worst ever name, I'm pretty sure. But it's been awesome being here with you, and we'll see you very, very soon.